The morning sun cast long shadows across the parking lot of Martinez Market in Neo Angeles. It was the year 2387, and the world had changed in ways that people from centuries past could never imagine. Flying cars hummed quietly overhead, and holographic advertisements flickered on building walls. Yet some things remained the same. People still needed food, and some people still struggled to get it. Keanu Martinez pulled his simple electric car into the market parking lot. He was not the famous actor from long ago, but he carried the same name and the same kind heart. At 45 years old, Keanu worked as a teacher at the local community center. He made enough money to live comfortably, but he was not rich. He just wanted to buy some groceries for the week. As he walked toward the market entrance, something caught his eye. An old man was pushing shopping carts from the parking lot back to the store. The man moved slowly, his back bent with age. Each step seemed difficult. The carts were heavy, and the old man had to stop every few feet to catch his breath. Keanu paused and watched. The old man looked to be about 90 years old. His clothes were clean but worn. His shoes had holes in them. Despite the struggle, the man kept working. He would collect 3 or 4 carts at a time and slowly push them back to the store entrance. Most people walked past the old man without looking. They were busy with their own lives, talking on their communication devices or hurrying to get their shopping done. But Keanu could not walk past. Something in his heart told him to stop. He approached the old man carefully. He did not want to scare him or make him feel bad. "Excuse me, sir," Keanu said gently. "Can I help you with those carts?" The old man looked up. His eyes were tired but kind. Deep lines marked his face, showing a lifetime of both joy and hardship. When he smiled, Keanu could see that some of his teeth were missing. "Oh, that's very nice of you, young man," the old man said. His voice was soft but strong. "But I can manage. I need to do this work." "I understand," Keanu replied. "But maybe I can help make it a little easier. My name is Keanu." "I'm Walter," the old man said. "Walter Kim. I've been doing this job for about 2 years now." Keanu grabbed 2 of the heavy carts and started pushing them alongside Walter. "2 years? Do you work for the market?" Walter shook his head. "Not exactly. The manager lets me collect the carts, and in return, I can take home the food that's about to expire. Bread, fruits, vegetables that are getting soft. It's good food, just not pretty enough to sell anymore." As they walked together, Keanu learned more about Walter's situation. The old man lived alone in a small apartment across town. He had no family left. His wife had died 5 years ago and they never had children. His pension had disappeared when the computer systems made an error decades ago. He had tried to fix it, but the paperwork was too complicated, and he was too old to fight the system. "I used to have a good job," Walter explained as they reached the store entrance. "I was an engineer. I worked on the big ships that took people to other planets back in the 2340s and 2350s. It was important work. I helped design the systems that kept people alive during those long trips to the stars." Keanu's eyes widened. "You worked on the colony ships? That's incredible. You helped humanity spread across the galaxy." Walter's face lit up with pride. "I did. It was the best time of my life. We knew we were doing something that would change everything. Every system I designed, every problem I solved, it meant that families could start new lives on distant worlds." They stood together for a moment, the shopping carts forgotten. Keanu realized he was talking to a piece of living history. This man had helped make humanity's greatest adventure possible, and now he was collecting shopping carts for expired food. "Walter," Keanu said, "have you eaten today?" The old man looked down at his feet. "I had some bread this morning. I'll get something tonight after I finish here." "No," Keanu said firmly but kindly. "You'll eat now. I'm buying you lunch and I want to hear more about those ships." Walter started to protest, but Keanu was already walking toward the market's small restaurant area. "Please," Keanu said. "I'm not doing this because I feel sorry for you. I'm doing this because I want to learn from you. You have stories that need to be heard. They sat at a small table in the food court area of the market. Keanu bought Walter a hot meal, soup, a sandwich, and coffee. Walter's hands shook slightly as he ate, but his eyes were bright with memories. The first ship I worked on was called The New Dawn, Walter began. It carried 5,000 people to a planet we called Hope. The journey took 18 months. Everything had to work perfectly, or people would die. Keanu listened carefully as Walter told story after story. He talked about the families he had met, the children who were born during the long trips between stars. He described the problems they faced and how the crew worked together to solve them. The hardest part was the life support systems, Walter explained. Air, water, food, everything had to be recycled and reused. I spent months calculating how much oxygen each person would need, how to clean the water, how to grow food in space. One mistake, and everyone would suffer. Did you ever make mistakes? Keanu asked. Walter nodded. Oh yes, many mistakes, but that's how you learn. The important thing was that we never gave up. When something went wrong, we fixed it. When people were scared, we made them feel safe. We took care of each other. As Walter talked, Keanu noticed that other people in the restaurant were listening too. The old man's voice carried wisdom and experience. His stories were fascinating, but more than that, they showed what humans could accomplish when they worked together. After Walter finished eating, they walked back outside together. The old man seemed stronger now, his back a little straighter. Thank you, Keanu, Walter said. It's been a long time since someone wanted to hear my stories. Thank you for sharing them, Keanu replied. And Walter, I want you to know something. What you did back then, helping people reach the stars, that was heroic. You're a hero. Walter's eyes filled with tears. I never thought of it that way. I was just doing my job. The best heroes usually are, Keanu said with a smile. 3 days after Keanu met Walter at the market, something unexpected happened. A young woman named Lisa Chen had been sitting at a nearby table in the food court when she heard Walter telling his stories. She worked as a reporter for the local news network and always carried a small recording device. Lisa was not trying to spy on anyone. She just found Walter's stories amazing. Here was a man who had helped send humans to the stars, but now he was collecting shopping carts for food. The contrast seemed wrong to her. She decided to record their conversation because she thought other people should hear Walter's stories too. The next morning, Lisa played the recording for her boss at Channel 7 News. Her boss, a middle-aged man named Rick Santos, listened carefully. When the recording ended, he was quiet for a long moment. This is incredible, Rick finally said. Do you know who this Walter Kim is? Lisa shook her head. Just what he said in the recording. He worked on colony ships. Rick turned to his computer and started searching. After a few minutes, his face went pale. Lisa, this man is a legend. Walter Kim designed the life support systems for the first 12 colony ships. His work saved thousands of lives. There are articles about him from 50 years ago calling him one of the heroes of space exploration. And now he's pushing shopping carts for expired food, Lisa said sadly. We need to tell this story, Rick decided, but we need to be careful. We don't want to embarrass Walter or make him feel bad. This is about showing how we treat our heroes. The story aired that evening. It was only 5 minutes long, but it showed Walter's dignity and Keanu's kindness. The video included some of Walter's stories about the colony ships, along with old photos of him as a young engineer. Lisa had interviewed Keanu too, and he spoke simply about meeting Walter. I just saw someone who needed a friend, Keanu said in the interview. Walter has amazing stories and so much wisdom. I learned more from him in 1 hour than I learned from most people in a year. The local news story was picked up by bigger networks. Within hours, it was playing across Earth and the human colonies. But the real surprise came from an unexpected place. Captain Lisa Parker was commanding officer of the deep space exploration vessel Horizon's Edge. The ship was 3 months into a 5-year mission to explore star systems beyond the outer colonies. Her crew of 200 people represented the best of humanity: scientists, engineers, doctors, and explorers. Lisa Parker was having her morning coffee in her captain's quarters when her communication officer, a young man named Tony Lewis, knocked on her door. "Captain, you need to see this," Tony said, looking excited. "There's a video from Earth that's gone viral. It's about an old engineer who worked on the early colony ships." Lisa watched the video on her personal screen. When Walter Kim's name was mentioned, she nearly dropped her coffee cup. "Computer, search historical records for Walter Kim, engineer, colony ships," she commanded. The ship's computer quickly displayed Walter's file. Lisa read through it with growing amazement. Walter Kim had not just worked on colony ships, he had solved the biggest problem in early space exploration. In 2349, 3 colony ships had been in danger when their life support systems failed. Walter had designed a new recycling system in just 2 weeks that saved all 15,000 colonists. "He's the reason my grandparents made it to New Terra," Lisa whispered to herself. Her grandparents had been on one of those ships. Lisa immediately sent a message to Earth Command. She wanted to contact Walter Kim personally, but first she shared the video with her entire crew. The reaction was incredible. Dr. Paul Martinez, the ship's chief engineer, had studied Walter's designs in school. Nurse Betty Williams discovered that Walter had worked on the ship that carried her great-uncle to the Centauri colonies. More than half the crew found some connection to Walter's work. Meanwhile, on Luna Station, the moon's main research facility, engineer Danny Roberts was eating lunch when the video played on the cafeteria screens. Danny was only 28 years old, but he was already known as one of the best system designers in the solar system. When Walter's name was mentioned, Danny stopped eating. He remembered that name from family stories. His grandfather, who had died when Danny was 12, used to talk about working with a brilliant engineer named Walter Kim. Danny called his grandmother that evening. She lived in a retirement community on Mars. "Grandma Rose, do you remember Grandpa talking about someone named Walter Kim?" Rose Roberts was 95 years old, but her memory was still sharp. "Oh my, yes. Walter Kim. Your grandfather always said Walter was the smartest man he ever worked with. They designed the water recycling systems together for the colony ships. Your grandfather said Walter saved his life at least 3 times with his quick thinking." "Grandma, Walter Kim is still alive. He's living on Earth, and he's in trouble." Danny explained what he had seen in the video. Rose was quiet for a long time. "That's not right," she finally said. "Walter Kim should be living like a king. He gave his whole life to helping people reach the stars. How did this happen?" Danny promised his grandmother he would find out. He was good with computers and databases. If there was a problem with Walter's pension or benefits, Danny would find it. It took Danny 3 days of searching through government records to find the problem. What he discovered made him angry. In 2361, the government had switched to a new computer system for managing veteran benefits. During the transfer, thousands of records had been corrupted or lost. Walter's file showed that his benefits had been suspended pending verification in 2362. But no one had ever followed up to verify anything. Even worse, Danny found evidence that some government workers knew about the problem but had covered it up. They were saving money by not paying benefits to veterans whose records were lost. The money that should have gone to people like Walter was being used for other projects. Danny made copies of everything he found. Then he sent the information to news networks, government investigators, and veterans' rights groups. He also sent a personal message to Captain Lisa Parker on the horizon's edge. The story exploded across human space. Veterans on dozens of worlds came forward with similar stories. It turned out that thousands of people who had helped build humanity's expansion to the stars were living in poverty because of computer errors and government corruption. But something else was happening too. The video of Keanu and Walter was being translated into alien languages and sent to other species in the galaxy. Humanity had been part of the Galactic Council for only 20 years, and many alien species were still trying to understand what humans were really like. The aliens found the video very interesting, but not for the reasons humans expected. The Galactic Council building on Centauri Station was a massive structure that floated in space between 3 stars. Representatives from 47 different alien species worked there. making decisions that affected billions of beings across the galaxy. Humans had only joined the Council 20 years ago, and many aliens still did not understand them very well. Ambassador Kethtar of the Zephyrian Empire was reviewing daily reports when his assistant brought him something unusual. The Zephyrians looked like tall, thin humans, but their skin was blue and they had no hair. They were known throughout the galaxy for being logical and practical in everything they did. "Ambassador," his assistant said, "the human diplomatic section has sent us a video file. They say it shows something important about human culture." Kethtar was not interested at first. Humans were always sending videos about their culture. Most of them showed humans fighting, competing, or trying to prove how strong they were. The Zephyrians found human behavior predictable and boring. But this video was different. Kethtar watched as a human male named Keanu helped an elderly human named Walter. He listened as Walter told stories about helping other humans travel to distant planets. He saw Keanu buy food for Walter and sit with him like they were old friends. "I don't understand," Kethtar said to his assistant. "What benefit did the younger human gain from this interaction?" "According to the file, none," his assistant replied. "The human Keanu received nothing in return for his help." Kethtar watched the video 3 more times. In Zephyrian society, every action had a purpose. You helped others only if they could help you back. You shared resources only if you gained something better in return. But this human had helped an old man who could give him nothing. This must be some kind of mistake, Kethtar decided. Or perhaps it's a trick. Humans are known for being deceptive. In another part of the station, the Crystalline Collective's representative was having a very different reaction. The crystallines were beings made of living crystal who could feel and share emotions across great distances. Their representative was called Harmony of 7 because 7 different crystal beings worked together to form one body. Harmony of 7 watched the video and immediately felt something they had never experienced before. The emotions coming from the human Keanu were pure and clean. There was no hidden selfishness, no secret plan. The human genuinely cared about the old man's well-being. "This is remarkable," Harmony of 7 said to themselves in their musical voice. "This human displays perfect emotional resonance without any expectation of reciprocal benefit." The crystallines had studied many species across the galaxy. Every intelligent race they knew was motivated by either survival needs or social advancement. But these humans seemed to have a third motivation, something the crystallines had never seen before. Dr. Alex Turner was Earth's xenosociologist at the Galactic Council. His job was to help alien species understand human behavior and help humans understand alien behavior. It was not an easy job. Alex was 42 years old and had been working at the station for 8 years. Alex was in his office studying reports about trade agreements when his communication device buzzed. Ambassador Kethtar wanted to see him immediately. Alex walked to the Zephyrian section of the station. The hallways there were kept very cold because Zephyrians preferred low temperatures. Kethtar's office was simple and plain, with no decorations or personal items. "Dr. Turner," Kethtar said without any greeting, "I need you to explain something to me. We have received a video from your diplomatic section. It shows a human helping another human for no apparent reason." Alex sat down in the uncomfortable metal chair across from Kethtar's desk. "Which video are you referring to?" Kethtar played the video of Keanu and Walter. Alex watched it and smiled. He had seen it several days ago and found it touching. "Ambassador, this is a simple example of human compassion," Alex explained. "Keanu helped Walter because he saw that Walter needed help." "But what did Keanu gain from this action?" Kethtar asked. "Nothing material," Alex replied. "He gained the satisfaction of helping someone who was suffering." Kethtar stared at Alex for a long moment. "You're telling me that humans will use their own resources to help strangers, even when those strangers cannot provide anything in return?" "Yes, that's correct," Alex said. "We call it altruism or compassion. Many humans do this regularly." "That makes no evolutionary sense," Kethtar argued. A species that wastes resources on non-productive members would die out quickly, Alex tried to explain. Ambassador, humans believe that caring for others makes our entire species stronger. When we help the elderly, we preserve their wisdom and experience. When we help the weak, we create a society where everyone feels safe. But Kethtar was not convinced. I think this video shows human deception, not compassion. The young human must have gained something that is not obvious. Meanwhile, word about the video was spreading to other alien species throughout the station. The Velkari, a warrior race that looked like giant insects, found the video confusing. In their society, only the strong survived. Helping the weak was considered a waste of resources. Captain Zixthak of the Velkari watched the video with his officers. These humans are stranger than we thought, he said. First, they defeat us in battle through cooperation instead of individual strength. Now they show kindness to those who cannot fight. How do they maintain military power with such weakness? The Oi. Gordian minds, a species of highly intelligent slug-like beings, had a different interpretation. They believed that everything could be explained through mathematics and logic. To them, human behavior should follow predictable patterns based on cost and benefit analysis. Professor Slurmdock, the Gordian representative, spent hours trying to create equations that would explain Keanu's behavior. Every formula he tried failed. According to Gordian mathematics, Keanu's actions were impossible. Perhaps humans have a different type of intelligence, Professor Slurmdock suggested to his colleagues. Something that cannot be measured by our normal methods. The alien discussions about the video continued for days. Some species thought humans were lying about their motivations. Others believed humans were mentally defective. A few thought humans might have discovered something that other species had missed. Finally, the Galactic Council decided to take official action. They would conduct a formal study of human behavior. Teams of alien observers would be sent to human worlds to watch how humans really acted when they thought no one was looking. Ambassador Kethtar was chosen to lead the investigation. He selected observers from 12 different species, each with different ways of understanding behavior and motivation. We will discover the truth about humans, Kethtar announced at the council session. Either they are the most deceptive species in the galaxy, or they possess something that we do not understand. Alex Turner was required to help with the investigation. He felt nervous about it. Humans were not perfect, and he worried about what the alien observers might find. But he also felt proud. If the aliens really studied human behavior carefully, they would discover that compassion and kindness were real parts of human nature. The investigation was scheduled to begin in 2 weeks. Alien observers would visit Earth, the Luna colonies, Mars, and a dozen other human worlds. They would watch humans in their daily lives, looking for evidence of either deception or genuine altruism. None of them expected what they would actually find. 2 weeks after the Galactic Council decided to investigate human behavior, teams of alien observers arrived at human worlds across the galaxy. They came expecting to find proof that humans were either liars or fools. What they found instead changed everything they thought they knew about humanity. On Earth, Danny Roberts had not stopped working since he discovered the problems with Walter Kim's benefits. The young engineer spent every free hour digging through government computer files. What he found made him sick to his stomach. The veteran benefits scandal was much worse than anyone had imagined. Over 30,000 former soldiers and space workers had lost their pensions due to computer errors. But it was not really an error. Danny found emails between government officials talking about how much money they could save by losing files belonging to old people who were too tired to fight the system. Director Carl Mason ran the Veterans Affairs Department from his office in Washington. He was 55 years old and had been stealing money meant for veterans for over 10 years. Mason thought he was safe because the victims were old and poor, with no power to challenge him. But Mason had not counted on people like Danny Roberts. Danny gathered all his evidence and sent it to Senator Julie Adams, who chaired the Senate Committee on Veterans Affairs. Senator Adams was known for being honest and tough. When she saw Danny's evidence, she was furious. "This is disgusting," Senator Adams told her staff. "These people served humanity, and we betrayed them. "We're going to fix this immediately." Senator Adams called for emergency hearings. She subpoenaed all the records Danny had found and demanded that Director Mason appear before Congress. The hearings were broadcast live across all human worlds. Meanwhile, Ambassador Kethtar and his team of alien observers were watching everything from their hidden monitoring stations. The Zephyrian ambassador expected the hearings to prove that humans were corrupt and selfish, just like he believed. At first, it seemed like Kethtar was right. The hearings revealed that government officials had stolen millions of dollars from veterans. Director Mason and 12 other officials were arrested. The evidence showed years of lies and cover-ups. "You see," Kethtar said to his team, "humans are motivated by greed and power, just like every other species. This compassion they claim to have is just an act." But then something unexpected happened. The alien observers began seeing how ordinary humans reacted to the scandal. Dr. Ruth Clark was a retired teacher living in Chicago. She was 78 years old and lived on a small pension. When she heard about the veterans scandal on the news, she was outraged. The next morning, she went to her bank and withdrew $500, half of her monthly income. "I want to donate this to help the veterans who were cheated," she told the bank teller. "Ma'am, are you sure?" the teller asked. "This is a lot of money for you." "Those men and women served all of us," Dr. Clark replied. "If the government won't take care of them, then we will." The Valkyrie observer watching Dr. Clark was confused. In Valkyrie society, old individuals hoarded resources to survive. They never gave away money they needed. Captain Zixthak received the report and did not believe it. "Watch her more carefully," he ordered. "She must be gaining something from this donation." But Dr. Clark gained nothing except the knowledge that she had helped others. She even had to eat cheaper food for the rest of the month because she had given away so much money. Similar scenes were happening across human space. On Mars Colony, construction worker Bob Miller organized his entire crew to donate money to help veterans. On New Terra, school children held bake sales and car washes to raise funds. On Luna Station, scientists worked extra hours and donated their overtime pay. Professor Slurmdock of the Gordian Mines tried to calculate the mathematical logic behind these donations. According to his equations, humans were spending resources they needed to help people they did not know. This behavior made no sense. "Perhaps humans have defective survival instincts," Professor Slurmdock reported to the council. "They seem unable to properly prioritize their own needs." But the most shocking discovery came from the crystalline observer. Harmony of Seven could sense the emotions of every human they monitored. What they found was incredible. When humans helped the veterans, their emotional state improved. They felt happier and more satisfied after giving away their money than they had felt before. This was the opposite of what should happen according to alien understanding. The humans experience positive emotional feedback from altruistic behavior, Harmony of Seven reported. This suggests that compassion is not learned behavior, but an integral part of their neural structure. Senator Adams worked 18-hour days for 2 weeks to create new laws protecting veterans. She could have assigned the work to her staff and taken credit, but instead she did most of the work herself. The alien observers could not understand why a powerful leader would choose to work so hard for people who could not increase her political power. Meanwhile, Walter Kim had become famous across human space. Captain Lisa Parker sent him a personal message from the horizon's edge, thanking him for his service and inviting him to visit the ship when it returned to Earth. Hundreds of other veterans contacted Walter to share their own stories. Many were living in poverty because of the same computer errors that had stolen Walter's pension. Walter decided to use his new fame to help them. "I'm not special," Walter told reporters. "I'm just one of thousands of people who helped humanity reach the stars. We all deserve to be treated with dignity." Walter started appearing at government hearings, speaking for veterans who were too sick or too frightened to speak for themselves. He did not ask for money or fame. He just wanted to make sure other veterans received the help they needed. The alien observers were baffled by Walter's behavior. He had been wronged by his own government, but instead of seeking revenge, he was trying to help others who had been wronged in the same way. Ambassador Kethtar received daily reports from his observers, and each report made him more confused. Humans were not behaving the way any logical species should behave. They were giving away resources, working without pay, and helping strangers who could never repay them. There must be some hidden benefit we're not seeing, Kethtar insisted. No species acts this way without getting something in return, but his observers found no hidden benefits. They found something else instead, something that challenged everything the aliens thought they knew about intelligent life. Dr. Alex Turner was monitoring the alien reports from his office on Centauri Station. He could see that the alien observers were struggling to understand what they were seeing. They had expected to find either human deception or human stupidity. Instead, they were discovering that human compassion was real and powerful. The investigation was supposed to last 6 months, but after just 2 months, some of the alien observers were already requesting to return home. What they were learning about humans was too disturbing for them to handle. The humans were not acting like any other intelligent species in the galaxy. They were acting like something completely new. 3 months into the alien investigation, something happened that none of the observers expected. Instead of finding proof that humans were selfish or deceptive, they kept discovering more examples of human kindness. Each new discovery made the alien observers more uncomfortable with what they were learning. On the planet Velkar, homeworld of the warrior insect race, Captain Zixthak was reading reports from his observers with growing alarm. The Velkari had always believed that strength came from defeating enemies and taking their resources. Weakness was shameful and should be eliminated, but the human colony on Epsilon 7 was showing them something different. The colony had been attacked by Velkari raiders 6 months earlier. The raiders had tried to steal supplies and equipment, but the human defenders had fought them off. 12 Velkari warriors were captured during the battle. According to Velkari tradition, captured warriors should be killed or left to starve. It was considered merciful to end their shame quickly. But the humans on Epsilon 7 did something that shocked the Velkari observers. They gave the captured raiders food and medical care. Commander Jake Sullivan ran the colony's defense force. He was a tough soldier who had fought in 3 wars, but he treated the captured Velkari with respect and kindness. They're prisoners, not animals, Commander Sullivan told his troops. We feed them the same food we eat, and we treat their injuries, just like we would treat our own. One of the captured Velkari was named Krixtok. He had been badly injured during the battle and expected to die in prison. Instead, the human doctor, Sarah Lopez, spent hours operating on his damaged limbs. She used expensive medicines and equipment to save his life. "Why do you help me?" Krixtok asked Dr. Lopez when he woke up from surgery. "I am your enemy." "You're hurt," Dr. Lopez replied simply. "I'm a doctor. I help people who are hurt." Krixtok could not understand this logic. In Velkari society, you only helped members of your own clan. Helping enemies made no sense at all. The Velkari observer on Epsilon 7 sent daily reports back to Captain Zixthak. Each report was more confusing than the last. The humans were sharing their food with prisoners who had tried to kill them. They were using their best medical supplies on enemies who would never repay them. "This cannot be real," Captain Zixthak told his advisors. "No warrior race acts this way. There must be some trick." But there was no trick. The humans on Epsilon 7 genuinely believed that all intelligent beings deserved basic care and dignity, even their enemies. Meanwhile, in deep space, Captain Lisa Parker's ship Horizon's Edge encountered a disabled Zephyrian vessel called the Logic's Dawn. The Zephyrian ship had suffered engine failure and was drifting helplessly between star systems. "Captain," Parker received the distress signal and immediately changed course to help. This decision would delay her own mission by several weeks and use up valuable fuel and supplies. "Captain," her first officer, Lieutenant Mark Collins, said, "helping them will put us behind schedule. Command expects us to complete our survey of the Kepler system." "The survey can wait," Captain Parker replied. "People are in danger." When the Horizon's Edge reached the Logic's Dawn, they found 67 Zephyrian crew members in serious trouble. Their life support systems were failing, and they had enough air for only 3 more days. The human crew worked around the clock to repair the Zephyrian ship. Engineer Paul Martinez spent 48 hours straight working on the alien engines. Nurse Betty Williams shared the ship's medical supplies to treat Zephyrian crew members who were sick from breathing bad air. The Zephyrian captain, sub-commander, Veltar watched the humans work with growing amazement. His own people valued logic and efficiency above all else. They would have calculated whether saving the Logic's Dawn was worth the cost in time and resources. But the humans never made such calculations. They just helped because help was needed. Captain Parker, Sub-Commander Veltar said after his ship was repaired, "I must ask you something. What payment do you require for this assistance?" "Payment?" Captain Parker looked confused. "We don't want payment. We're just glad everyone is safe." Sub-Commander Veltar was quiet for a long moment. In Zephyrian society, every favor required repayment. Every action had to benefit the actor in some way. But these humans seemed to gain nothing from helping his ship except the knowledge that they had prevented suffering. The story of the rescue spread quickly through Zephyrian space. Ambassador Kethtar received reports from dozens of Zephyrian worlds, all asking the same question. Why would humans delay their own mission to help strangers? On the crystal world of Harmony, the crystalline collective was having its own crisis. The crystallines shared emotions across their entire species. When one crystalline felt something, all crystallines felt it to some degree. The human emotions that Harmony of 7 was detecting from Earth were affecting the entire crystalline species. Millions of crystal beings were experiencing human compassion for the first time, and they did not know how to handle it. The human emotional patterns are unlike anything in our records, Harmony of 7 reported to the collective. They feel genuine happiness when they help others, even when that help costs them significantly. This was causing problems in crystalline society. Young crystallines were beginning to ask why their species did not help other races the way humans helped everyone. Some crystallines started questioning whether their traditional focus on intellectual pursuits was enough. Elder of Many Thoughts, the oldest and wisest crystalline, called for an emergency council. "These human emotions are changing our people," he warned. "We must decide how to respond to this contamination." But it was too late. The human capacity for compassion was spreading through the crystalline collective like a virus of kindness. Crystallines, who had never cared about other species, were suddenly feeling urges to help and protect others. On Earth, the veteran benefits scandal had been completely exposed. Director Carl Mason and his accomplices were in prison. New laws protected veterans' rights. Most importantly, Walter Kim and thousands of other veterans were finally receiving the pensions they had earned. But Walter was not satisfied with just fixing his own problem. He had started a foundation to help veterans across all human worlds. He spent his days visiting sick veterans, helping young veterans find jobs, and making sure no veteran ever felt forgotten again. The alien observers watching Walter could not understand his motivation. He had already gotten everything he needed: his pension, his medical care, his recognition as a hero. Why did he continue working so hard for others? Danny Roberts had also changed since discovering the scandal. He could have returned to his comfortable job on Luna Station, but instead he became a full-time advocate for veterans' rights. He created computer systems to track veteran benefits and make sure the government could never lose files again. This is not logical behavior, Professor Slurmdock reported to the Gordian Minds. These humans continue expending energy on tasks that provide no personal benefit. The alien investigation was supposed to prove that human compassion was fake. Instead, it was proving that human compassion was real, powerful, and completely unlike anything else in the galaxy. Ambassador Kethtar was running out of explanations. Every report from every observer showed the same thing. Humans genuinely cared about others, even strangers, even enemies. They would sacrifice their own comfort, safety, and resources to help others without expecting anything in return. This discovery was shaking the foundations of alien civilization across the galaxy. 6 months after the alien investigation began, the Galactic Council called an emergency session. Representatives from all 47 member species gathered in the Great Chamber on Centauri Station. The mood was tense. What the alien observers had discovered about humans was causing problems across the galaxy. Ambassador Kethtar stood before the council to present his findings. The tall, blue-skinned Zephyrian looked uncomfortable. For months he had been certain that humans were either liars or fools. Now he had to admit that he had been wrong about everything. Honored council members, Kethtar began, his voice formal but strained. After 6 months of careful observation, we have reached a conclusion about human behavior that defies all our previous understanding of intelligent life. The chamber was completely silent. Representatives from dozens of species waited to hear what the investigation had revealed. We have documented over 10,000 instances of humans helping others with no expectation of reward, Kethtar continued. We have observed humans sharing resources with enemies, sacrificing their own goals to assist strangers, and working without payment to help those who cannot help them in return. A representative from the Nexthari Empire, a species that looked like giant metallic spiders, clicked his mandibles in disbelief. Surely these behaviors serve some hidden purpose, he said. No species survives by wasting resources on non-productive members. That is what we believed, Kethtar replied. But our investigation found no hidden purposes, no secret benefits, no long-term strategies for gain. The humans appear to help others simply because they believe it is the right thing to do. Captain Zixthak of the Velkari stood up from his section of the chamber. His insect-like body towered over the other representatives. This cannot be true, he declared. We have fought humans in battle. They are fierce warriors. Warriors do not show weakness by helping their enemies. Yet that is exactly what they do, Kethtar answered. On Epsilon 7, human colonists shared their food and medicine with captured Velkari raiders. They treated their enemies' wounds and illness with the same care they gave their own people. Captain Zixthak sat down heavily. This news was disturbing to the Velkari worldview. How could humans be both strong enough to defeat them in battle and gentle enough to care for prisoners? Professor Slurmdock of the Gordian Mind spoke next. His slug-like body glistened under the chamber lights. We have run thousands of mathematical models trying to explain human altruistic behavior. None of our equations can predict or explain what we have observed. It is as if humans operate according to rules that do not exist anywhere else in nature. Harmony of 7, representing the crystalline collective, created a musical sound that filled the chamber. When crystallines spoke, their words had emotional undertones that other species could feel. The human capacity for compassion is affecting our entire species, Harmony of 7 announced. Our young ones are beginning to ask why we do not help others as humans do. Some of our people are questioning whether intellectual pursuits alone are sufficient for a meaningful existence. This caused a stir throughout the chamber. The crystalline collective had been stable for millions of years. If human behavior was changing them, it might change other species too. Dr. Alex Turner sat in the human section of the chamber, watching the alien representatives struggle with what they had learned. He felt proud of his species, but also concerned about how the aliens would react to these discoveries. Finally, the council's presiding elder, an ancient being from the eternal archives whose species was so old that no one remembered their original name, spoke in a voice like whispered wind. We have heard the evidence, the elder said. Now we must decide what these findings mean for the galaxy. Are humans a threat to the natural order? Or have they discovered something that we have missed? Ambassador Kethtar activated a holographic display that showed a map of human space. There is one more thing the council must know, he said. We requested permission to interview the human Walter Kim, whose story began this entire investigation. The display showed Walter Kim sitting in a comfortable chair in his new apartment on Earth. At 90 years old, he looked healthier and happier than he had in years. His veteran's pension had been restored, and he was receiving proper medical care. Walter Kim has agreed to address this council, Kethtar announced. The hologram expanded to life-size, and Walter appeared to be standing in the chamber. He looked around at all the alien representatives with curiosity and wonder. Despite his age, his eyes were bright and alert. Hello. Walter said in his gentle voice. I'm honored to speak to all of you, though I'm not sure why my story is so important. The presiding elder spoke first. Walter Kim of Earth, our investigation has shown that your species displays unique behaviors. You help others even when it brings you no benefit. Can you explain why humans do this? Walter smiled, his wrinkled face creasing with warmth. Well, I suppose it's because we understand something simple. When one person suffers, we all suffer a little bit. When one person is helped, we all feel a little better. But this makes no logical sense, Captain Zixthak interrupted. Why should the pain of strangers affect you? Walter looked at the giant insect-like being with compassion rather than fear. Because they're not really strangers, he said. Every person I meet could be someone's grandfather, someone's child, someone's friend. When I see someone who needs help, I see myself, or someone I love. Professor Slurmdock's equations were spinning frantically as he tried to process this explanation. You are saying that humans view all other humans as family members? Not just humans, Walter replied. All intelligent beings. All creatures that can think and feel and dream. When Keanu helped me at that market, he didn't see an old man he didn't know. He saw someone who deserved dignity and respect just because he existed. Harmony of Seven created a complex musical chord that expressed amazement and confusion. This perspective would require completely restructuring how we understand relationships and social bonds. Walter nodded slowly. Maybe that's not such a bad thing. I spent my life helping people travel to distant worlds so they could build better lives. Every ship I worked on carried families who were willing to risk everything for a chance at something better. They didn't know each other when they started the journey, but by the time they reached their new homes, they were all family. The chamber was completely quiet. 47 different species were trying to understand what Walter had just explained. You see, Walter continued, humans learned something important a long time ago. We're stronger when we help each other. We're happier when we share with each other. We're safer when we protect each other. It's not complicated math or deep philosophy. It's just love. The word love was translated into dozens of alien languages, but many species had no equivalent concept. They understood loyalty to family or clan, but not love for strangers. The presiding elder was quiet for a long moment. Walter Kim, you have given us much to consider. We thank you for sharing your wisdom. Walter's hologram faded, leaving the IDD chamber in stunned silence. Finally, Ambassador Kethtar spoke. Honored Council, we have discovered something unthinkable. Humans possess a genuine capacity for universal compassion. They see all intelligent beings as worthy of care and protection. This is not a trick or a weakness. It is a strength that has allowed them to build a society unlike anything else in the galaxy. The implications were staggering. If humans could feel compassion for all beings, what did that mean for the future of galactic civilization? The Galactic Council had called this session to determine whether humans were a threat. Instead, they discovered that humans might be the galaxy's greatest hope.